Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Tip Tuesday. Jeffrey Nance here with you. Today's topic is one we've actually covered before, but very appropriate to cover it again, especially in light of this month. It's December, and there's this idea that there's this thing called the Santa Claus rally. And as such, the market always goes up in December. Well, it's very easy to check something like that because all you have to do is go into your charts, go out to a monthly view like we're going to do, and then find that, we can see whether it went up or down for the month very easily. And um, so far, we're about halfway through this month. It's been pretty green so far. So I'll show you a little bit of what that looks like, but we got about half of it to go. Um, there's a Fed meeting today. If they do not rock the boat, then it will be more business as usual. And what has business been since November of this year? Bullish. All right. So it would not be surprising for us to see another bullish move here. Unless the Fed does rock the boat. And if they rock the boat and say, yeah, guys, we're still concerned about inflation, not only are we not going to lower rates, not only are we not going to keep them the same, we're actually going to raise them one more time. Because a lot of that move in November was basically based on the idea that in fact, the Fed was going to reverse their decision. If they were to come out and clarify that that wasn't the case, that could send the market into a bit of a tailspin, and December would look very, very different than it has the first 2 weeks so far. All right, so let's go out there and take a look at historically. What we'll do, we'll probably look at about the last 10 years, just so you can get a sense of what's happened here. But we want you guys to always be informed. To not merely just listen to something that somebody said and just take it as truth. We want you to really kind of go out there and say, well, here's what's historically happened. So in our system, we're looking for predictable, repeatable, and reliable. So if there was something like the Santa Claus rally, you would hear us advocating that, saying, guys, hey, it's December, let's go bullish. But historically that has not been the case. So what I'm going to do over here and charts by Tradeway is I'm going to click on this and I'm going to go to a 10-year view. We're going to switch to a monthly view, which will now mean that each of these candlesticks represents 1 month. So here's where we are currently. This is December. You can see that we have a little green candlestick so far, and we'll see whether or not that changes at all here in the next 2 weeks. Most of that will be determined here, I think, this afternoon or tomorrow, based on the movement. So just in case you were wondering, November, one of the biggest months you've seen in the past 3 years. In fact, outside of the beginning of this bull market recovery, okay, there hasn't been another candlestick that's been as big since the bull market started. Maybe you get close right there. Yeah, that one was 418 because we only had 389. So it's the second biggest candlestick, the second biggest month we've seen since the start of the bull market recovery in 2020. So think about that, guys. If you were bearish through November, you were bearish through one of the hottest months in the past, really, I say, 3 years. But historically, it may even be longer than that. If we were to switch this out and look even further, so you were bearish in one of the top hottest 3 months of the previous 3 years or more. So I say that because it's super important that you understand that you want to really know what the market's doing, not what you think it might be doing, not what somebody else might tell you it could be doing. It's important that we know what it's doing. And so I hope that most of you have been bullish through November, because it was certainly a bullish month, one of the most bullish we've had in, like I said, the past 3 years or more. All right. So December, slightly positive. So let's go ahead and go all the way back to 2014, and we'll start to look for December, and we'll just kind of keep note of this. All right. So that December, we closed down. You can see the red candlestick. So slightly down, not a lot to see, but certainly not a rally. It closed down for the month. So one down. 2015. 2015, we get another slightly down. All right, so definitely no Santa Claus rally for the first two. 2014, it was down. 2015, it was down. Now, not a lot, but nonetheless down. What about 2016? 2016, slightly up. You can see just a slight green candlestick. Look at that, guys. I mean, just slightly up. No biggie. It's not like there was some major rally going on where you're like, if I don't get into the market, I'm really going to miss something. It was just slightly up. Okay. Again, 2017. So far we've seen 2 small down months, 2 small up months. Uh-oh. 2018, massive red candlestick. Look at the drop here, guys. 3,000 down to 2,400. The S&P dropped 600 points for that December rally. All right, so 2 small down months, 2 small up months, and then 1 massive drop down. The next year, October, November, December, again, small, clear body, small up move. So 3 for 3, but definitely if we were to look at total points, we would definitely be down at this point. October, November, December, again, another small candlestick. September, October, November, December. The biggest one we probably had, guys, the biggest one we probably had right here in 2021. Interestingly enough, the biggest green candlestick we had right before a bear market started. So I suppose we got a little last hurrah there, because once January kicked in, this thing turned into a bear market, which is more than a 20% correction. So our biggest green candlestick, our biggest December rally, Santa Claus rally, if you will, came right before the bear market. Now, I'm not sure that we should go make a habit out of that of going, the biggest green ones lead to bear markets. But again, we're just looking at data here. And then in 2022, so this was to finish off the year of the bear market, we have another pretty serious red candlestick. And that's us, guys. That's us. That's where we are. So if you were to look at the past 10 years and I were to ask you, is the Santa Claus rally a real thing? The very clear and obvious conclusion is, well, absolutely not. At least not for the past 10 years. Now, we could go out and do the same thing. We could max this out and go to monthly. And what we might find is that perhaps, maybe historically we saw something different. But again, guys, you're welcome to go out there and do this kind of same thing. It almost gets so small that you'll just have to zoom in to see whether it was up or down for that particular month. But as a whole, what you're going to find is that you're rarely going to see a month of December that just absolutely just stands out and blows you away. It's slightly up in 2001. In 2002, it was actually down. So again, what we're seeing here, even historically, is that it's just not a big move. It's just not. There's just not a serious major rally or anything associated with December that necessarily makes it different than any other month. If anything, we might see, very, very little upward movement in December. Now, keep in mind, too, that the last week or so of trading is going to be a little different. You're going to have smaller volume. So, sometimes when you have smaller volume, you might have more volatility, but for the most part, people are either just barely trading bullishly or they're trading barely bearishly, unless there's a situation like we saw, obviously, I think in 2022, where they were willing to sell, wanting to sell, and we saw an actual big drop there. So that's very interesting. And again, we want you guys to consistently do this, to be able to look at things objectively, to question things, and to not merely just go, oh, because so and so said something, it must be true. I heard it on TV or I heard it on the news. Well, one of the great things that we can do here with our chart is we can actually go back and see whether or not that thing really exists. So if you hear of a particular pattern, or you have some friend that's like, man, you got to go check out this stock, it's just amazing. Well, we can say, you know what, I will. I'm going to go check that thing out. And so, today the S&P is down a little bit, but again, overall, since we've started December, we're up barely, but we are up. And I think that's likely to continue. And it'll just be a small body candlestick, which again, we're used to seeing historically, at least over the past decade, a small green candlestick. So unless something changes and the Fed comes out and really just does a 180, in which case I think we would end up seeing a pretty decisive red candlestick for December, then we're likely to see one of those small green ones, but no biggie, no significant thing. So if you want to go buy stocks because they're at good buy points, cool. Historically, December is not going to be a month where the market tone is going to crush you, though two of our bigger moves down did happen in December. So just be aware of that. It does seem like historically, if we were to make some conclusions there, that generally speaking, December is kind of a slower month, kind of a smaller month as far as range is concerned. But if it does turn into a red month or a down month, it could be sizable. We want to be aware of that. But more often than not, it's just a smallish move down. Now, historically, that's been the case. Could things change? They certainly could. But again, we're using patterns that are predictable, repeatable, and reliable to try to make informed trading decisions. So I wouldn't necessarily look at any one month. I mean, historically, November is a pretty negative month. October as well. So you can switch those out. October's a pretty negative month more often than not. But some people might say that about November, and then November this year it just blew up. So I think in general, you want to be a little careful about just assuming that any one month is going to produce certain results. What I prefer to do is look at the chart, let the chart tell me what it's doing, and then to try to follow accordingly. So that's what I would encourage you today to do as well. To not buy into something just because somebody says it, but to actually say, you know what, I have this great tool called a chart. I'm going to go back and use it. So you guys, this will be my last one with you for the year. So I just want to encourage you guys to have a very Merry Christmas, regardless of what the market does. Many of you have skill sets where you can make money if it goes up, down, or sideways. So I want you to have a fantastic Christmas. Enjoy the time with your families. Certainly enjoy the reason that we celebrate Christmas as is, because of the birth of our Savior. And remember to keep in mind that for some people, this is a very, very happy time. Don't ruin other people's happiness. All right, that's not a biblical thing for us to do. Bible says, "Rejoice with those who rejoice." So make sure you're doing that. For some people, the holidays are a tougher time for them because they've experienced a loss in the family. The Bible does say that we're supposed to weep with those who weep as well. So be cognizant of that. See if you can find ways to help those in need, to be mindful of families who have lost loved ones and might be dealing with a hard time as well. So enjoy Christmas. Make the most of it. Enjoy your time with family. And then have a great trading month, regardless of what the market does for us. Try to make really informed trading decisions. Tune in to all the things that we have available, where we'll be updating you on what the market's doing and how you ought to think through it. But Merry Christmas to all of you guys. Thank you for being a part of Tip Tuesday each and every week, whether you tune in live or you catch the recordings. Hope that you find these helpful each week. So we'll see you next time.